G'day! So, you want to know how I went from this to this? Now fellas, I'm not gonna lie to you. It took a lot of hard work, dedication, and putting off far too much homework. Okay, so for those that don't know, Overwatch 2 ranks are a little messy, to say the least. You've got Bronze 1 to 5, Silver 1 to 5, Gold 1 to 5, Platinum 1 to 5, Diamond 1 to 5, Master, that's where I am, 1 to 5, Grandmaster 1 to 5, and then you've got your top 500s. Now, your top 500s don't actually have a rank associated with them. You could technically be a Platinum player and also a top 500 player if, in your region, you're in the top 500 of all players. There. First up, choose a hero. This character must become your entire identity. You will one-trick this character to the bitter end, even when those little shitters on your team are saying, tank div. You do not swap, never swap, unless it's like Watchpoint Gibraltar, in which case maybe go monkey, because like honestly it's like really annoying being yelled at, like it's just so many people. Now, before we continue, I have some beef to pick with the Overwatch community. I'm looking at you, Stylosa. Look at this shit. You believe this? Reinhardt, a C-tier character. Well, could a C-tier character do this?
Huge.
Okay, huge push.
Pearson, you let me die!
Hey, was this on his own? I'm not even going over.
Not that. This. Now, let's go over the basics. Now, Reinhardt has a hammer that can swing indefinitely. Splattering tiny little baby characters is your main goal with this magnificent piece of tech. It does 88.5 damage per swing. So, 200 health heroes take 3 swings to kill at full health, and that's without them being healed. However, your Fire Strike ability does 90 damage, so most heroes are only ever 2 swings and a Fire Strike away from death. It works quite well since you're already up close and personal hammering those little bastards into oblivion. So it shouldn't be too hard to hit them with your Fire Strike. I do not want to see this ability ever off its cooldown. You should always be trying to gain ult charge by lobbing this ability directly into the enemy team. That, I'll bring up later, I swear. Now onto his shield. His shield is a big fuck off wall that blocks 1200 damage. Now, if it breaks and goes to 0, it will be put on a short cooldown. You should do everything in your power to not let that happen, as you'll be super vulnerable while it's down. Next up, charge. Charging is great. It allows you to launch headfirst at anyone in front of you. You can curve left and right to help you catch your target. If you pin them to a wall, you'll deal 225 damage. Amazing for killing squishies. Now, you can also cancel this charge after a short time. This allows you to, say, launch people off the map. Which should always be in the back of your mind while on a map with a cliff. Lastly, Reinhardt's ultimate. You'll do a small wind-up animation and then smack your hammer down, and anyone in its path will be knocked down and dealt a small amount of damage. You should be using this ability fairly quickly. Don't hold on to it for too long, as you should be getting them relatively quickly. So, as soon as you get it, try to look for an opportunity. 1 or 2 people is more than enough. You shouldn't need to be looking around for 5-person shatters all the time. While great and game winning, they don't happen that often, and can lead to you just holding on to it and not using it for a very long time, which only ends up giving an advantage to your enemy. Okay, now moving on to the technique. To properly play Reinhardt, you'll need to maximize what you can do with his relatively simple set of abilities. Healer mains, I'm so sorry, but the only good way to play Reinhardt in Overwatch 2 is to be aggressive. You're not doing well if you're hanging back and just letting the enemy team deplete your shield. You need to get up close and personal. I want you to be able to smell the fear of the enemy supports. Secondly, taking people off the map with your charge is great, but always remember to make sure to give them a good smack or two with that meaty hammer of yours to make sure they get knocked off the map for good. Now, knowing when to throw your fire strike into the enemy team is also very important. Say if the enemy team has a Zarya, do not fire your fire strike into their team. It does do 90 damage and will give her quite a lot of charge. So, make sure you try to bait it as much as you can. Miss a fire strike, aim it at the ground. Now, you can also cancel a swing mid-swing if you hold up your shield. It looks like this. Now, every single time you see a Zarya, go up to her and click the left click, go to smack her, and then immediately pull up your shield. This will get her to use her bubble 90% of the time and just completely waste it. You're a big boy. So make sure you take some damage before putting that shield up to maximize your health and shield pool. Whew! Now lastly, positioning. Positioning, my friends, is the hardest thing to do in this game. To be honest, it's also hard to explain. The best way I can describe it is, you should gather a sort of feel of the battlefield and maps. Each has good areas and bad areas. When in these areas, your gut should be kicking in and telling you where to go and where to stay. Now, the best way to improve this muscle is to just play as Reinhardt. I've built this muscle up over years, but generally for beginners, all I can say is, even though you have a shield, please, for the love of God, play cover and corners. Please. Because Reinhardt is very vulnerable while out in the open. Because you can only either hold your shield up or use your hammer/fire strike. One makes it so you're literally not doing anything and just taking damage. The other, well, now your whole team is just exposed to the enemy and they can just take as many shots as they like at them. So, really bad spots on maps for Reinhardt. Any hybrid map, after you capture the point and you then have to move the cart, any second point on those maps is terrible. Generally, they have a lot of verticality. Generally, they're just a real shit show for a Reinhardt. Honestly, I might go against my one cardinal rule and tell you to maybe swap off here. However, if you're truly committed to the Reinhardt style of play, you will continue to play Reinhardt and you will learn what works and doesn't work in these areas. Generally, you will be holding your shield up a lot. I know that goes against what I just said, but listen, there's not a whole lot you can do when all the new characters getting added have 15 different abilities that do 17 different things all at the same time. You're a very simple hero. Use that to your advantage. Stand on that fucking payload and move it. Your teammates should be trying to get picks. Make sure that they're getting picks. If not, you're going to have a hard time. I know Overwatch is a game that is based around having good teammates, but when playing Rein, it's even more important. Because if your team isn't getting picks, you're just standing on the payload, not doing a whole lot. And if you are standing on the payload, the enemy team either has to come to you or stay far enough away to not do a lot of damage, hopefully. It's a bit different if they're right above you, say on the second point of Hollywood, where there's all that verticality. Now, if you listen to this video and followed my advice to a capital italicized T, you might just make it as a one-trick Reinhardt main. Thank you for watching. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Thank you for this amazing opportunity.
He's done it.
Because I've done it!
Done it.
I've done it!
Done it. Absolutely.
Yeah!